Hello everyone, welcome to Biz Chats, a digital program where I interview expert guests on a wide variety of business topics. I am your host, Yunzio Presta, the founder and CEO of BizOn. Today, I'm excited to talk with Phil Kuye for two reasons. One, I actually grew up playing hockey with him, and hockey and sport in general were a very big part of my life. So very excited to see where he is at his life as he's a very smart lawyer, which is my second reason why I'm very excited. He's a very smart lawyer. Let me read his bio here. So he completed his articling with Day+Borg before he was called to the bar of the Law Society of Upper Canada in January 2018. He graduated from the University of Miami School of Law. Phil is a Florida licensed attorney and can assist with Florida state law matters, United States federal law matters, and cross-border real estate matters. Cross-border real estate transactions in the state of Florida. At law school, Phil was a member of and sponsorship chair of the University of Miami Entertainment and Sports Law Society and interned with the Miami Dolphins of the NFL, which is really cool. So today we're going to chat about the proper due diligence when acquiring a business. So with that said, let me invite Phil to the conversation and let this thing start. Okay. Let's invite him here. All right. Just waiting for him to accept the invite here. Seems like he is not. Sorry, everyone, just bear with us here. Just waiting to see if he's viewing on here. He should be viewing. There he is. Let me add him here. Boom. Accept the request, and then we'll get chatting. Phil.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm doing well, Nunzio. How are you?
Good. Just, told everyone a little bio and also shared that we grew up playing hockey. So it's very interesting to see where we both are post-hockey career. You, a very successful and smart lawyer, and me here grinding it out as an entrepreneur. So, sport and hockey have definitely done a lot for me as far as character building and networking as well. So you probably share the same, right?
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. But like I said in my intro, we're going to be talking about the proper due diligence when acquiring a business. And I feel this is a very important conversation to have, especially for our audience. I think about 90% of our audience are constantly looking to acquire a business or franchise every day, which is a big chunk of them. So the interest is there, and we want to make sure they have the proper advice and guidance. So I have a couple questions for you. We'll go through them, and then we'll go from there, okay?
Sounds good.
Okay, so first out the gate, tell me a little bit more about your firm.
So we're a full-service firm that practices in the areas of corporate law, real estate, civil litigation, family law, and wills and estates. We've been in business for over 40 years, and we're located in Mississauga, specifically in the heart of Streetsville.
Nice. Streetsville Derbies.
That's right, where we played.
Exactly. All right. Next question here. How does your firm help small business owners, especially those looking to acquire a business?
So with respect to the purchase and sale of businesses and some of the corporate services that we provide, we offer a very wide scope of services to our clients. And this includes business formation and filings with respect to corporations and some other filings that need to be made for certain business formations, structuring deals to maximize our clients' goals, depending on how they want to do that in a financial aspect, and also for a tax aspect. We do due diligence before the purchase, drafting of the purchase and sale agreements, and corporate maintenance after the acquisition takes place. And that's just kind of a few of the services that we provide.
Awesome. Okay, so now, so more from an advice perspective, you may have a disclaimer that this is just advice. But what advice would you give a potential buyer before they even decide to purchase a business?
Yeah, so before I go any further, I'm glad you mentioned that, and I'm just going to do my lawyerly thing. This is just general advice. This isn't it's not to be construed as legal advice for any one scenario in particular. But that being said, I think the number one thing and the biggest piece of advice I would give for somebody who's a potential buyer would be that due diligence is key. Before purchasing a business. And I'm sure most business owners would do the due diligence from the business side to see, is this business profitable? You know, am I going to enjoy running it? But from the legal perspective, it's important for the potential buyer to understand the risk with respect to what they're buying. So, for example, buyers should want to know if there are any security registrations against the property of the business, for instance. Are there any judgments against the business or any ongoing lawsuits? Because once you purchase a business, you inherit those. If the business leases an office or a unit somewhere, you want to know what the status of that lease is and what are the responsibilities of the tenant and the landlord, because again, you assume all of that once you purchase a business. Has the business maintained the appropriate filings if you're dealing with a corporation? And sometimes, does this business even exist? Is it even registered? And those are some of the searches that we would do to say, well, look, this business hasn't even been registered or whatever the case may be. And that happens from time to time. Unfortunately, we don't like to see that, but it does happen. And that's why I say due diligence is probably the biggest piece of advice I would give to somebody that's potentially buying a business, to look into all of those things. You know, from the legal side, as I know they've done probably all of their homework with respect to the business.
Yeah, you're so right, because out the gate, when someone's looking to buy a business, you know, is the business financially sound? Is the business operationally sound? Okay, well, the third big pillar is it legally sound, right?
Right.
Because if it's not, you could, you know, forget about financially sound and operationally sound. If there's a lot of legal issues and whatnot, it's not going to be a good acquisition. So
Exactly.
all right, that makes sense. Now, so same advice, but from a seller perspective.
Well, from a seller perspective, I would say the structure of the sale can have huge implications on how the sale proceeds are taxed, as well as some of the legal implications. So in a nutshell, I would say that a buyer would generally like to structure the purchase as an asset purchase. And this is because they can be selective about the assets that they wish to purchase, as well as the accompanying liabilities of the company. The remaining liabilities, especially unknown liabilities, they will remain the responsibility of the seller unless they are expressly assumed by the buyer. So it needs to be in writing. It needs to be in the agreement that they're expressly assuming these liabilities, so that you can kind of pick and choose. So from a buyer's perspective, that's really good, because you know, you have an idea of what you want, what you don't want. Now, from a buyer's perspective, if they were to do a share acquisition, if they were purchasing a corporation, let's say, as opposed to doing an asset purchase, that just means the buyer acquires the corporation itself together with all of the assets and liabilities, whether that's known or unknown. And this is normally what we like to refer to as, you know, you're buying the business with all of the skeletons in the closet.
Got it.
And you won't know until you get it.
Now, can an indemnity clause do anything in that scenario, or?
So indemnity is more or less to have someone step in the place if you were to be sued for anything. So the liabilities, you may not be in a situation where you're going to be sued, but like, let's say the potential seller of the business that you're trying to buy does a share sale, but you know, they took out a line of credit right before they sold it. Now you get that with the sale. If you do a share sale, you're now responsible. If it was an asset purchase, you might say, look, you know, we're going to let you keep that business line of credit. You deal with it. We want that excluded from the sale.
Got it. Okay, that's a good mechanism then. All right, so
just on the other side of the coin, just so we,
yeah,
for a seller, you generally want to structure the sale as a share sale. So that is to avoid being left with any unwanted assets or liabilities. And not to mention, and I'm not a tax professional or an accountant, but you can take advantage of what's called the lifetime capital gains exception under the Federal Income Tax Act. So I believe at this point it's around $800,000 that is eligible for exemption. So I would look into that as well. But I mean, that is definitely an advantage for a seller, and that's one of the reasons why they'd want to structure it as a share sale.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you, Phil. So we're about halfway done. And for everyone listening in live or on demand, I want to remind everyone that this segment is brought to you by Phil and Day+Borg. Go check out their website, Day+Borg.com. Check out their services. Connect with Phil directly if you are in need of any sort of legal counsel, advice, or guidance. Phil could definitely take care of you. So definitely appreciate this, Phil. So
appreciate it as well. Thank you.
Yeah. So next question here. So if someone's looking to acquire a business, this is actually a good question. What do the legal fees look like?
And you know what? We always get that question, but costs are always a moving target because they depend on the complexity of the transaction. Normally, we would bill based on time involvement and the out-of-pocket costs that are incurred for certain filings and due diligence searches. So at the outset, it's almost impossible to know. We've been involved in a number of transactions that range from anywhere from $10,000 to over $20 million. So you're dealing with the complexity of the sale or the purchase is where the fees are going to be. I will say is our fees are very competitive, and our clients normally take comfort in the fact that we've completed a large number of these diverse deals over our 40 years of existence. We've seen it all, and that's what's allowed us to advise clients effectively to help them reach their desired goals.
Got it. All right. Now, can you give some examples of something that a buyer or seller may overlook during that whole purchase and sale that could impact them?
Yeah, so what you'll see sometimes is the first thing I guess that would come to my mind would be non-compete and non-solicitation scenarios after the purchase. So for example, if you're a potential buyer and you just close a deal and you purchase the Tim Hortons franchise, for example, you would probably want the seller to agree to a non-compete with the business that you just purchased by opening a Tim Hortons across the street. That pretty much cuts the value of your business in half. And not to say that they can't compete anywhere else, but there's certain ramifications or certain parameters you want to put on that because it's going to devalue your business right out of the gate. And people don't really think about that. Additionally, if you purchase a consulting business, for example, you would want the seller to agree not to solicit any of the clients of that business that you just purchased. Yeah. Again, that's cutting into your bottom line and chipping away at the value of what you just purchased. So those are some things that people don't actually think about, and it's pretty common to see. But those are certain things that you probably want in place to make sure that whatever you're protecting your investment. Let me just put it that way.
Makes sense. Makes sense. All right. So last question I got for you here. So for anyone out there tuning in right now or on demand, how can they contact you?
So our office is located at 93 Queen Street South in Mississauga. My direct line is 905-826-5670, extension 271. Alternatively, I can be reached by email at pkuye, so that's PKUYE at Day+Borg.com. And I also wanted to mention to anyone out there that's watching that we are happy to offer any BizOn member who is buying or selling a business through BizOn a fee reduction of 15% for legal fees incurred to complete the transaction. And all you would basically have to do is just mention BizOn when you contact me, and I'll apply that discount directly to the file.
Awesome. Appreciate that. Now, does that have an expiration date?
No.
No? Oh, wow.
No.
Look at that. The perks of being a BizOn user. I love it.
Right. That's great.
I appreciate that, Phil. All right, so that brings us to the end of the Q&A, but the way I like to end off every Biz Chats is with a rapid fire question.
Sure.
3 questions, first thing that comes to the top of your mind. If you don't have an answer, you can simply just say pass. So last song you listened to was?
It was I'm Upset by Drake.
Nice. Last movie you watched?
Last movie I watched, I think fully watched would have been Moonlight.
Fully watched. I like that. I like that because I can relate because you have a little son as well. I have kids. And by the time you've put on a movie, you want to fall asleep.
Yeah, I don't have the time anymore, to be honest. I try to do it and I can't, but you know what's keeping me going is the NHL playoffs and the NBA playoffs. So
crazy, right?
I stay up for those.
Yeah. Vegas is some sort of story right now with the Stanley Cup. That's crazy. Okay, and last one here. Last book you read?
Last book I read. Well, I'm currently reading a book by Tinashe Coates. 8 Years We Were in Power.
Okay.
Really, really good book. I'm still in the middle of it, so not completed, but I would say that's the last one or the one I'm currently reading.
All right, perfect. Well, thanks again, Phil, for taking the time out of your day. I know you're busy, so definitely appreciate the insight you shared with us all. We are recording this, and we will have it on YouTube for everyone to watch on demand. So if you didn't have a chance to listen in live, not a problem. You can definitely listen to it later. And then I guess my little plug, if you're looking to buy or sell a business, check out mybizon.com. And have a great week, everyone. Have a great week, Phil. And thanks again.
Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.
You too. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.